So, I want you to imagine for a second that you just spent 30 years engineering thousands of tons of steel.
Oh, wow. Just a massive amount of pressure.
Right. I mean, your entire career revolves around mitigating catastrophic risk. You're relying on these absolute uncompromising laws of physics to control chaotic construction sites.
Yeah, that is not a low-stress job.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So then imagine stepping away from all of that to execute what you think is your ultimate relaxing retirement plan.
The dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you realize your most difficult, complex, and rewarding building project won't involve steel or concrete at all.
No.
It's actually going to involve a screaming toddler who doesn't speak a single word of your language.
It's the ultimate collision between the lives we meticulously engineer on paper and the messy, chaotic reality that actually gives our lives meaning.
Yeah.
We assume we know exactly who we're going to be decades down the line, but human nature rarely complies with a static life plan.
Which perfectly brings us to the mission of today's deep dive. We're unpacking some truly incredible source material today.
You really are.
It's specifically excerpts from a narrative called Beyond the Blueprint, A Life Rebuilt in Sinai.
And this is just such a fascinating case study.
It really is. It's a highly detailed look at a single expat who drafted the perfect escape plan, only to have the universe hand him an entirely different assignment.
Right.
So for you listening, we're going to use this story to extract some hard truths about adaptability, the shifting nature of our identities, and a psychological trap that we're calling the illusion of leisure.
And the value in this specific narrative is how intensely relatable the underlying psychology is.
Oh, totally.
I mean, we're constantly pressured to lock into these 5-year or 10-year plans, right? Treating our future happiness like it's a math equation to be solved.
Right, like if I just plug in the right variables, I get happiness.
Exactly. And this case study really forces us to look at the severe limitations of that mindset.
Okay, let's get right into the factual foundation here. The subject of this narrative is an American man named James, but he goes by Jays.
Right.
And to understand where he ended up, you really have to understand the environment that forged him.
Because it's a very specific environment.
It is. Jays spent 3 decades in structural construction back in the United States. We're talking about heavy, grueling work.
Yeah.
And as a counterpart to that, he spent a significant portion of his life as a professional skier.
Which is wild. That combination of pursuits tells us a massive amount about his baseline nervous system.
How sad.
Well, you have a 30-year career defined by massive physical consequence, rigid materials, structural math.
Right, very high stakes.
Very high stakes. And then you combine that with a sport defined by extreme speed, physical risk, adrenaline, and just punishing wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, skiing is no joke.
Exactly. So his brain and his body were conditioned over decades to operate in environments where focus and friction are literally matters of survival.
Okay, so keep that in mind as we fast forward to the year 2008.
Right.
Jaws hits 58 years old, and he makes this massive geographic and lifestyle leap. He moves across the world to Thailand.
Big move.
Huge move. And his plan for this phase of his life is what I think most people would consider the absolute gold standard of retirement.
Oh, absolutely.
He intends to get married to his Thai partner, relax indefinitely, and play a truly staggering amount of golf.
The dream for so many people.
Right. And I look at this kind of through the lens of a completed construction project. Like, after 30 years of pouring the foundation and framing the walls, Jaws viewed his retirement as the finished building.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, no more heavy lifting required. You just hire someone to watch the windows and you spend the rest of your days walking the manicured greens of a golf course.
Yeah, because society heavily conditions us to view later life exactly like that, as a definitive end state.
Right.
You cross a finish line, you put down your tools, and you enter this state of permanent passivity.
But here's where I struggle with that concept, though. Why would someone like Jaws, a guy whose entire identity was forged in high-stakes problem-solving on construction sites and ski slopes, why would he default to such a low-stakes, almost monotonous goal like endless golf?
Right.
Is it simply that the body just gives out?
Right.
Like, does sheer physical and mental exhaustion override the personality type that usually thrives on overcoming obstacles?
I mean, exhaustion certainly plays a role as an initial catalyst, yeah. But the core driver here is a really widespread psychological phenomenon.
Okay.
High achievers routinely fall into this trap. When you spend your entire adult life operating in high-stress, high-consequence environments, your nervous system is essentially running hot 24/7.
So you just get used to it.
Exactly. Your baseline for normalcy becomes crisis management and risk mitigation. So when people in these roles begin to plan their exit, they drastically overcorrect.
Meaning they look at the extreme stress they are under and they just assume the exact opposite must be the key to happiness.
Yes, they falsely equate a total lack of responsibility with ultimate fulfillment.
Wow. Yeah.
The internal logic says, well, if complex friction is burning me out, then absolute zero friction must be paradise.
Right.
But it isn't.
No, because absolute zero friction creates a profound psychological void. The human brain, particularly one conditioned by decades of complex problem solving, is just not wired for perpetual passivity.
Right, it gets bored.
Incredibly bored. When you strip away the intricate challenges of engineering massive structures and you replace it entirely with just chasing a small white ball across a flat green lawn, the brain begins to starve. It craves meaningful engagement.
Which brings us to the reality of Joss's situation. Because as it turns out, the universe did not let him slowly starve in this illusion of leisure.
Thank goodness.
Right. He didn't end up living on a pristine golf course. He ended up in Saibai.
Yes.
And for those listening who might not be familiar with the geography of Thailand, we should probably clarify what Saibai is.
Definitely.
Because this is not the pristine white sand tourist beaches of Phuket.
Not at all. Saibai is a district in the northern part of Bangkok. It is deeply local, incredibly dense, bustling, and just far removed from the manicured, gated expat communities you might picture when you hear, retirement in Thailand.
Right. It is a working class, heavily residential, distinctly Thai environment. Moving there is not a retreat. It is an immersion.
A total immersion. So Jaws moves to Saibai, marries his Thai wife, and instead of stepping onto the fairways, he is immediately plunged into a 24/7, multi-generational Thai family dynamic.
Just completely thrown into the deep end.
Completely. His life becomes entirely consumed with raising children. We are talking about practically raising his Thai nieces and nephews from birth, right alongside his wife.
Wow.
The source material outlines this reality filled with late-night infant feedings, chaotic daily school runs, and the intense intricacies of navigating a dense local community. It is the absolute polar opposite of zero friction.
Yeah, he sought out isolation and predictable leisure, and he was handed this vibrant, unpredictable, chaotic household where he wasn't even speaking his native language.
Right. And this is where I want to really dig into the mechanics of this, because it fascinates me.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Think about the sheer contrast. For 30 years, Joss's professional life was based on predictable formulas. You calculate the load-bearing capacity of a steel I-beam. You apply the laws of physics. If you do the math correctly, the structure holds.
It's highly controlled.
Highly controlled. But how on earth does someone take a brain wired for structural math and apply it to a crying infant? Or a cultural misunderstanding in a bustling Bangkok neighborhood?
You really can't.
Right. You cannot apply the laws of physics to a toddler.
No, you definitely can't apply physics, but you can apply the underlying executive functions.
Oh, interesting.
And this is the crucial pivot in Joss's story, and I honestly think it's a masterclass in how we transition our identities. He didn't abandon his 3 decades of skills. He translated them.
Okay, break that translation down for me. How does pouring concrete translate to raising kids in a foreign country?
Well, let's look at what actually makes a successful construction manager on a major project. It isn't just knowing the math.
Right.
It is immense patience when supplies don't arrive. It is acute crisis management when a structural element fails. It's the ability to look at a chaotic job site and identify the critical path to stability.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Jaws repurposed those exact cognitive muscles for his family in Saibai.
So instead of assessing the physical load-bearing capacity of a wall, he's assessing the emotional load-bearing capacity of the family on any given day.
Precisely. When a toddler is having a meltdown at 3 a.m., or when there's a complex logistical issue with getting multiple kids to different schools across Bangkok traffic, you're still fundamentally problem-solving.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
You are mitigating risk, maintaining calm under pressure, and looking for stability. In structural engineering, you are building physical integrity. In Saibai, Jaws was building family integrity.
Wow. And I think we also have to address the monumental barrier of language and culture here, too, because the sources touch on how immersive this was.
Oh, the language barrier is massive.
Right. Jaws is stepping into a deeply embedded Thai family structure. He doesn't have the luxury of defaulting to his native language to fix problems. No. Think about how much we rely on our vocabulary to exert control over our environment, to explain ourselves, or to manage conflicts. When you strip that away from a 58-year-old American man, how does he actually function as a caregiver and an authority figure?
It forces a completely different mode of observation. When you lack the vocabulary to dictate terms, you have to become an expert at reading the room.
Yeah.
You have to rely on tone, body language, and nonverbal problem solving. And this requires a massive surrender of ego.
Definitely.
A traditional retirement often feeds the ego, right? You are the master of your domain, you're paying for services, you're dictating your schedule, but entering a multi-generational household in a new culture forces you to be a student again.
He had to start from scratch.
Exactly. Joss had to learn the unique rhythms of a Thai household. He had to observe how respect is earned and shown in that specific culture, rather than just imposing his American expectations on them.
Which completely dismantles the idea of the finished building retirement we talked about earlier.
Totally.
He wasn't doing maintenance on a completed life. He was breaking ground on an entirely new foundation, using completely unfamiliar materials.
And this touches on a really profound concept in behavioral psychology regarding how we actually derive happiness. We often differentiate between hedonic well-being and eudaimonic well-being.
Okay, let's unpack those terms for the listener.
Sure. So hedonic well-being is the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. It is the golf illusion.
Right.
It feels great in the short term, but it is highly susceptible to adaptation, meaning your 100th round of golf does not give you the same thrill as your first.
The brain gets bored.
Exactly. Eudaimonic well-being, on the other hand, is derived from meaning, purpose, and self-realization. It is often difficult, exhausting, and completely devoid of immediate pleasure.
Like waking up at 2 a.m. to feed a crying infant.
Exactly. That is not hedonically pleasing. But the act of raising that child, of being a crucial pillar for a family, generates a deep, sustaining eudaimonic happiness that golf simply cannot provide.
I want to turn this directly to you, the listener, for a second. Think about your own life right now. How often do you find yourself plotting an escape route that is entirely based on hedonic happiness?
It's so common.
Right, we tell ourselves, oh, if I can just make it to this financial milestone, or this vacation, or this retirement age, I'll just check out. I'll sit on a beach and do nothing. We actively fantasize about eliminating all friction.
Yeah.
But Jaws' story asks us to really question if we actually want a frictionless life, or if we just want a different kind of friction, the friction of building something meaningful.
It is a critical distinction. We spend an enormous amount of energy trying to engineer all the surprise and difficulty out of our future.
We do.
But the reality is that a life completely insulated from challenges is incredibly fragile.
Well, let's look at the long-term results of Yaz choosing the friction of a family over the insulation of a golf course.
Okay.
If we fast forward the timeline in the source material, it's been 18 years since Jazz moved to Thailand in 2008. He is now 76 years old.
Wow, quite a journey.
Yeah, and the narrative makes it abundantly clear he wouldn't trade his chaotic, exhausting, beautiful reality in Saibai for all the fairways in the world.
That's beautiful.
His initial life plan was completely upended, but he thrived because he allowed his identity to evolve. He built a legacy focused on raising his nieces and nephews, anchoring his Thai family, and fostering deep human connection.
Which is just incredible.
And you know what else is amazing about his life now at 76?
What's that?
Because the kids are older, he's actually found a completely new way to build and create. He's an artist now.
Really? An artist?
Yeah. He paints by hand, but he also makes digital art. The sources mention he uses apps like Infinite Painter and even various AI tools to create.
Oh, that is fascinating.
Right. He just has this flavor for drawing and painting by hand. And it's actually rubbed off on his family, too. His little niece is now really into making abstract art as well.
Wow.
So now art has become this huge hobby and passion for him. It's like he transitioned from building with steel to building a family to now building visual art.
That is such a fantastic evolution. And it brings us right back to his background in structural engineering, actually.
How so?
Well, there is a fundamental principle in how we design buildings for seismic zones, like areas prone to earthquakes.
Okay.
If you build a structure to be perfectly rigid-like, if you use materials that refuse to bend, assuming that sheer strength is going to hold up against the shift in ground, that building will shatter and collapse when the earthquake hits.
Right, it breaks.
Exactly. The buildings that survive, the ones that endure immense pressure, are the ones engineered to flex and sway with the environment.
That is a fascinating parallel.
Jaws's 58-year-old life plan was a rigid structure. If he had stubbornly clung to the idea that his identity in Thailand was strictly, the retired American golfer.
The earthquake of reality would have leveled him.
Exactly. The unexpected seismic shift of a multi-generational family would have broken him. He would have been resentful, isolated, and constantly fighting against the reality of his own household.
Yeah.
But his sense of self was flexible. He allowed his identity to sway. He let go of the ego tied to his old life, embraced the messy reality of 24/7 caregiving, and allowed the environment of Saimai to reshape him. And now he's letting it reshape him again into an artist.
It really challenges this deeply ingrained idea we have about consistency.
It does.
We praise people for being unwavering, for sticking to the plan no matter what.
Yeah.
But what this deep dive reveals is that unwavering rigidity is actually a massive vulnerability.
Totally.
True resilience isn't about defending your blueprint against reality. It's about knowing when the blueprint is obsolete and having the courage to draft a new one in real time.
And having the humility to realize that the new draft might be written by the people around you, rather than just yourself.
Oh, I love that.
Jays didn't build this new life in a vacuum. He built it in collaboration with his wife, his nieces, his nephews, and his community in Saimai. And now he's even making art alongside his niece.
It makes you wonder how many people are sitting in their perfect retirements right now, completely miserable, because they successfully executed a blueprint they drew up 20 years ago.
Right.
Just failing to account for the fact that they would be a completely different person by the time it was finished.
A staggering number, I would imagine. We severely underestimate how much our values and desires will change over time. Psychologists actually call this the end of history illusion.
The end of history illusion.
Yeah, we tend to believe that who we are right now is the final, finished version of ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Jays at 58 probably thought he knew exactly what Jays at 76 would want. He was wrong. And his willingness to be wrong is the only reason he found such profound meaning in his later years.
Just to pull all these threads together and recap the journey we've taken today.
Yeah, let's summarize.
We examine the life of a man who spent 30 years grinding through the high stakes, physically punishing worlds of structural construction and professional skiing.
Right.
He drafted a very traditional, leisure-focused retirement plan aimed at playing endless golf in Thailand. But reality intervened.
As it always does.
Instead of isolating himself in leisure, he spent the next 18 years completely immersed in the dense local district of Saimai, raising a Thai family, overcoming immense cultural and linguistic barriers, and repurposing his crisis management skills to become the emotional anchor of a vibrant household.
And then ultimately pivoting again to become a passionate digital and traditional artist.
Exactly. He proved that the capacity for reinvention does not expire at age 60 or 70 or ever, really, so long as you remain open to the friction that forces growth.
So true.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, we want you to take a hard look at the plans you are currently drawing up for your own future. Are you building a rigid structure that will shatter the second life throws a curveball? Or are you designing a life capable of swaying with the unexpected?
And to take that a step further, consider this. If you were suddenly stripped of your current career title, your daily routines, and even your ability to communicate in your native language, what kind of foundation would you be left standing on?
That's a great question.
When the meticulously engineered blueprint disappears, what are you genuinely capable of building with the people around you?
That is a heavy, essential question to carry with you this week. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We wish you the best of luck as you navigate and inevitably redraw.